But it is not for me to tell other people what they should think. I wouldn't dream of doing it.
Anne Williams campaigns to reopen her son's inquest, despite recently being turned down by the European Court of Human Rights.
All we've done is cover it up. Every legal avenue we've been to is not to bring out the truth, it was just to protect the people that were to blame.
Well, it's been a very moving day here at Anfield as people remember such difficult times, but if anything positive came out of the Hillsborough tragedy, it was the transformation of grounds at the top levels of British football.
Yeah, the way Anfield looks now is a result. The old terraces were abolished. By law, every spectator must now have a seat. Yet there have been repeated calls over the past 20 years for the reintroduction of safe standing areas as used in parts of Europe. Reporting on the legacy of Hillsborough, here's Chris Hall.
If you go through Gate C, in front of you, you can see the main tunnel.
Gathering evidence to make sense of a tragedy. With the whole nation still in shock, Lord Justice Taylor was given the task of investigating what caused the disaster at the end of this tunnel. His report found Hillsborough sloppily stewarded, poorly policed and badly designed. His recommendation was simple yet dramatic. From that point, every fan would have to sit down to watch the game. Terraces would have to be abolished to stop this ever happening again. The fences went too. No longer would fans be caged into the stands. But now support is growing for the return of standing sections.
It's quite clear that watching any game or attending any game that there is a very large demand for standing areas. In fact, in this country, the Football Licensing Authority cannot statistically prove that standing is dangerous. In fact, it isn't.
Debate, though, is limited. For some, the wounds are just too deep.
We lost our son, Nicholas. He was 27. 96 people died and hundreds were injured to bring safety to football grounds. So we're definitely against standing. Definitely.
What happened at Hillsborough started a clamour for all-season stadia, not just in the UK, but all across Europe. And yet, just a short journey away, terraces are thriving. Here in Germany, at least 10% of every stadium must be standing. For many, it's a disturbing sight. And yet, this is a club with an emotional attachment to Liverpool. After their European encounters in the 70s, fans of Borussia Mönchengladbach have adopted the Reds as their second club. They've raised thousands for the families of the Hillsborough victims, and 20 years on, they're still campaigning for their English friends.
Here in Germany, it's a way of life to spend while you look football. We're still allowed to drink beer, to smoke inside the stadium. All these things are not allowed in England.
So why are these terraces safer? Well, the theory is that throughout this stand there are barriers every 4 or 5 steps down, which means that should overcrowding occur, or if fans should start to surge forward, then the pressure of your back equates to about the weight of 4 or 5 people, as opposed to 4 or 500. Have you had any problems with standing sections?
No problems at all within the stadium. Of course, from time to time there are problems with violence, but not in the stadium in Germany.
The most common complaint over all-season stadia is that it dampens the atmosphere. But here at Anfield on match nights like this, there's no shortage of noise from the Kop. Maybe that's because come kick-off time, they're all standing, and that brings with it safety concerns of its own.
There's been the call from football supporters to look again at safe standing, and I have thought about it. I've thought about it very carefully, but I think it's not right to turn back the clock.
It is impossible to separate emotion from this issue. Yes, for many fans, these seats are a hindrance. But for those whose lives were torn apart by Hillsborough. They are the legacy of the lost 96.
And that report from Chris Hall brings to a close our special edition of Granada Reports live from Anfield. But the commemorations go on tonight.
From the crowds who've seen here today, it's clear that the victims will never be forgotten. And while we've been on air tonight, the families of those who died at Hillsborough 20 years ago have been given the freedom of Liverpool. In the next few minutes, they'll have messages of support from the Queen and the Prime Minister.
But the resounding message comes as ever from Anfield itself. It might be 20 years on, but the victims and their families will always be remembered. Good night.
Good night.
When you walk through a